Hey, apparently we're live. So let's do this. You know what? Hit like, hit subscribe, turn on your notifications, and just give all your love and adoration to the Glosso America YouTube channel. Hi, hello, and welcome to your favorite average to good podcast. I'm Jimmy Conrad alongside Charlie Davies and not Big Tones, Tony Miola, playing hooky today for our big preview, the U.S. men's national team's second game of this October window against Australia. We're going to talk about the U20 World Cup and the U.S. getting bounced in the quarterfinals for the fifth straight U20 World Cup. Somewhat in my feelings about that. We'll get into some of the details of that game. But first, we teased it. We had Chuckwagon, chasing Chuckwagon at a tournament against his, your former club, Chuck? And
yeah.
You took your choice. Now I want to say, did you win? That shouldn't be the first question ever from a parent, from a coach. It's more about the process. Did you have a good time? Do you have fun, Chuck?
Phenomenal. A phenomenal time. And you know, to give it a little bit of context, I played for a number of clubs in New Hampshire when I was growing up, but ultimately the last two clubs were probably the most important. I think the collection of the most talented kids in New Hampshire at the time. So it was Bedford Classics and Seacoast United. And the fields that we were playing the tournament on were the same fields, the same town that I grew up playing in with Bedford. And then Seacoast United is the club that hosted this tournament, the Capital Cup. And, you know, there are a lot of fields. I got to bring my kids back to my old apartment building and the fields I grew up in playing on and my old schools. And so essentially walking the fields, I'm like, oh my God, I was here as a 9-year-old boy, you know, like this is wild. And the boys played brilliantly. They exceeded expectations. That they were passing and moving, and it was wonderful. And in the final, we played this team, Rhode Island Rams, and they've given us a tough time as of late. You know, all the parents are there, and it's good energy. I mean, it's intense. But they tied us 3-3 in the group stage, and in the final we played them and we won 5-0. But more importantly,
all right, congratulations,
yeah,
to you and the boys.
More importantly, it was the way that we played and the way that we grew as a team. And the night before, I felt proud of myself because we're talking about culture. We're staying in a hotel as a team, and then we ended up going out. One of the moms organized like an arcade for the group. And then I decided to say, you know what, let's do a parents first kids laser tag session. So, you know, nice. It was like $600. I was like, I'm dropping this thing, but it was more about just getting everyone in and feeling like a group, and the culture was awesome. And so we came out the next day and were able to cruise and won both our games and won the trophy. And it was just an incredible feeling because you felt like everyone loved the game, but the experience is probably going to be long lasting.
Oh, I love that. And congratulations. That's great. And we are going to talk about culture because Mauricio Pochettino talked about it or put it on his Instagram stories, a photo of something that he showed the guys in the locker room. But before we get there, I try to do something similar when I coach. I took my girls team, my daughter.
Yeah, you're playing against your big rivals. Like, how'd that go?
Well, listen, my daughter doesn't score very often, but she scored one from about 25 out, top corner, and we're all very proud of her. I showed you the highlight, Chuck. Didn't even celebrate. So she just turned around like she'd been there before.
Let's see this. You
want to see it? All right. Okay. You know what, producer Des, let's throw it up here. Okay. Good play here down the line by my striker. Good cutback, and my daughter drifts into the space.
Oh yeah, look at her.
Nice little setup. And gets her feet set.
Hey,
hey!
From deep.
Hey, shout out to my youngest. What a finish! And so we outlasted our rival, and we ended up winning 1-0 to win our state cup group. I will say at this level last year, we in our state cup group, we had 0 wins, 2 draws, and a loss. This year, 3 wins out of 3. Same level. Can we say that's progress, baby?
The coaching course we're doing, it's working. So
it's working.
Shout out to the Northern Ireland FA. The Irish FA, top class.
And also, I just wanted to also bring up the culture stuff. I took the girls to a Bay FC game recently, and you're going to love this, Chuck. I gave them homework. So during the first half, I had a sheet printed out for each kid, and I said, listen, you got to pick one player. What position does she play? What are her strengths? What do you think that she does well? What are her weaknesses? What do you think she could work on? Listen, those were hilarious to read, by the way. And then I almost want to send them to the pro players and say, hey, listen, these are what these 14-year-old girls think about your game. And then what part of that player's game would you like to have be a part of your game? Like, what are they doing that you think they're doing really well that you want to add to your own? And some of it really, really cool. I'm sure the kids are like, I don't want to do more homework. I just want to watch the game. But I'm a soccer nerd, and so they have to be soccer nerds too. That's like, you want to be a part of my team. This is these are the prerequisites. These are the non-negotiables to make it happen. Anyway, great weekend for both of us. Let's talk though, and let's actually segue into the U20 World Cup. Not such a great weekend. We lost to Morocco 3-1. It's the 5th consecutive U20 World Cup that we've lost in the quarterfinals. We just can't get past that hurdle, Chuck. And I think what's disappointing is in the way that we lost. We just gave up some really bad goals.
Yeah.
And I say bad, maybe I should rephrase it as preventable goals.
Yes.
And we could, well, most coaches think most goals are preventable, but these in particular felt extremely preventable. Your thoughts on this loss to Morocco?
Yeah, I honestly felt I felt that we were going to get by Morocco. I did heading into the game. I just thought that the team was well situated for the way Morocco played, the way they were set up. I thought the confidence level was extremely high, but it seems like every time we get to that game, the coaching, I thought Marko Mitrovic did a terrific job up until that point, but I always feel like when we get to that level and we're thinking about, oh my God, semifinal, if we get to the semifinal, final,
right,
that we get a little uptight and almost pragmatic, a little bit too safe. And I think in this scenario, I don't know if they anticipated Morocco to sit back as much as they did, because Morocco said, hey, we're going to lock it down. We're going to try and prevent you from getting into those counterattack moments or those transition moments where you're running at us and it's, a 3v2, 2v1s, 4v3. So I think he went too safe. And then he decided to drop Kremaski back a little bit more to get on the ball and not be so high. I don't think Kremaski should be that high to begin with. But I would have thought, okay, maybe a Peyton Miller, who is almost like your safety valve for those Moroccan counterattacks, because you need a little bit more speed. Maybe he would have been better equipped to handle, getting into transition a little bit quicker, getting in behind, but also to be someone who can stop those counterattacks. And then in set pieces, right? Once we got level to make it 1-1 with the penalty kick, I thought, okay, now is the moment for US to take it from here. And I think Cole Campbell was a little bit underwhelming in the way that he played, maybe the way he was used.
I think he was trying too hard a little bit too, right? And that's normal for that age, but keep going. I mean, he thinks he should be the guy, and then he's putting more pressure on himself than he should, but keep going.
Yeah. And then in the end, was there truly a goal scorer, a 9, a center forward? It felt like Cole Campbell is not your typical 9. He's like almost plays like an Antoine Griezmann, but wasn't really used because he come out to the wide to the right and come in on his left foot. And I just felt he found it difficult to get into those dangerous areas. And like you said, doing too much.
Yeah. Listen, in the first minute of the game, we had a good opportunity. Gosso's on the back post. Listen, Morocco, some courageous defending to block the shot. But you and I both know that when you start to get into those types of games where anything can change and the margins are very fine, you have to take those moments. And then even when we went down 2-1, Luke Brennan came in and he had
the tap in. He had a sitter.
He has to catch it on the half bounce, right? But he's just got to put it on frame. He puts it on frame, I think it goes in, and he hits it over. And so that makes it 2-2, and I think maybe the game changes. The third goal, we're chasing the game. There's a miscommunication or a lack of who's going to make the clear decision between the goalkeeper and the center back, and there's a comedy of errors, and it goes. For me, that's what happens when you're chasing the game and your numbers aren't there. Yeah, the boys should have handled it better. It didn't happen. For me, the game's kind of won or decided a lot earlier than that.
But don't you think that this team should be in the semifinals? Like, they had the quality to be in the
yes,
semifinals.
100%. Yeah. And I think that's maybe where we should have started the conversation. When we evaluate this, and these are the U20s, and I think there's a photo going around right now on the Twitters about what our U20 World Cup looked like back in 2019. I think Tim Weah was on it, Chris Richards, Serginho Dest was on that team. So kind of just like looking back and where they are now. And so I wonder, given the quality that we're talking about, Chuck, which of the players that we're seeing now are going to be kicking on and helping the team, in 3, 4, 5 years time. But yeah, you're trying to evaluate these guys in high pressure situations, and the margins are fine. I say this because I thought Japan were excellent against France.
They were.
You're excellent throughout their group. They were excellent against France. Somehow they lost to France, a game they should not have lost. They were all over France, hit the post, hit the crossbar. It was ridiculous. France gets through. France plays Norway in this last game in the quarterfinal and wins 2-1. And now France is in the semifinals, and we were better than France, right? So it's just like, it's just a crazy fine margin game but we have to figure it out. How do you still win games when you don't play well, or if you can't finish? I mean, those nations seem to figure it out in a way that we can't, and we have to unlock that in some capacity. Is that mental? I don't know if the guys are worried about something that happened back in 2019. Probably not. But there's coaches for sure. But the players, I'm not. I don't know.
Do you, of all the players, who do you think gets in team of the tournament? Like Kramaski for sure.
Kramaski's guy scored how many? 5 goals? I think he's in for sure. I thought Nico Chikiris was good.
He was solid. I wouldn't say like he was. I thought Brooklyn Reigns stood.
I like Brooklyn. I was going to say him next. I like Brooklyn. His game. I like his game a lot.
Yeah.
What I like about Nico is that he can make that unlocking pass behind defenses. And if you don't have that type of player, then you really get handcuffed. And so I like that he has that player profile. I mean, there was
Josh Widener.
Josh Widener was good. Maybe I'm nitpicking him because of some recency bias. He had the own goal. Like, we give up a goal on a long throw.
Yeah.
And we had way too many players there to solve that problem. And I know he's on the end of it, but when I think about him and his role as a center back, and I can already see that his presence is huge. He's got to. Can I go back a step? Before we gave up that throw in, he reads this actually frustrates me, Chuck. We have the guy that, I don't know if anybody watched the game, but they're number 7. He's their captain. Clearly wants to be Cristiano Ronaldo. Like, runs like him, wears his captain armband the same way. And Morocco's got the same colors as Portugal, so he looks very Cristiano Ronaldo-esque. And we have him going down the line, and we have 3 guys there, and we got to keep him pinned on the sideline. He cuts back in against the grain, and now he can drive to the central. We have to solve that problem. And then he plays a through ball. When he plays that through ball, Josh Winder reads it and does a great job of reading the play. But I believe he's got a chance to actually take a touch and hoof it up the line. Instead, he just knocks it out for a throw, and these are the little details, right? And it's a really good learning lesson for our group and for these players individually. But had he just, I don't know, is that asking too much? I don't think it is. And before it even gets to him, though, those 3 players need to keep arguably one of their best attacking players trapped on the sideline, so we can't even get into those situations. Yeah. Anyway, it's just little details that I think you're going to look at it. Obviously,
that's like taking it a step further, right? It's okay. Right. You get down to an end result of the goal. You say, okay, how did it break down? But then if you go all the way back and you're saying, okay, if we're going to continue to peel this slice down and say, okay, could we have prevented that counterattack? And
right.
And maybe it's a decision making, maybe it's a foul, whatever it is. But in this case, could he have, even if he put it out, but put it further down the field, instead of giving them that opportunity for the long throw? But those are the goals that really annoy you.
I know, they're so annoying.
Long throws, or like these long distance free kicks, and the keeper maybe comes out and there's like a miscommunication or a flick that could have been prevented into another guy, and then there's a scrum and a goal. But either way, it's a little bit disappointing, even though as well as the U.S. had done in this tournament, to end this way, it is disappointing. And I think when you look at the subs, don't you think they were a little bit too late?
When did they start coming in? I
think
75th minute.
It was like Brennan came in. That was that first sub, right?
Brennan came in the 66th minute, and then Habrun came in for Chikiris in 75th. Zambrano came in for Corcoran in the 75th.
And then Baker
Whiting came in for Nolan
Peyton
Norris.
Miller came at the same time, I believe.
Yeah. I listen, these guys are really talented, and I'm excited to see how they continue to grow and evolve over the years. But I agree with you. Ultimately, the short answer is we had enough talent to kick on into the semifinals and potentially beyond that, especially if we've got France again.
Yeah, it was a style of play, right? That Morocco said, okay, you're not going to break us down. They wanted to try and, not so much park the bus, but they really did make it difficult to play between the lines. And they saw how the U.S. were able to really cut up teams. And especially if teams played higher, it gave us a good advantage. They said, we're not going to let you play behind us. And they struggled to break down a Moroccan side.
Yeah. Lots to take away. Unfortunately, we get kicked out. Spain ended up losing to Colombia. That was a crazy game. Japan is at home. Like some really, really good teams.
I watched the Mexico-Argentina game as well.
Mexico fell apart at the end, got 2 red cards, lost their composure, and Argentina scored some good goals in that particular game. So you got Argentina versus Colombia in one semifinal, and Morocco and France in the other. A good Final Four. I just wish we were a part of it. All right, let's keep this moving. Yeah. So temperature check following the Ecuador draw. And I think the biggest thing that's come out of it, outside of the positivity that we're feeling and the direction that we're heading, Chuck, is that Pochettino posted something on his Instagram stories and about the culture discourse and culture over strategy. Okay. And this is what he apparently wrote in the locker room on a board. And this is what it says. If you're not watching on the YouTubes, culture eats strategy for breakfast. Okay, and then he goes on and says, means that no matter how brilliant your business strategy is, if your team culture isn't aligned or if it's toxic, your strategy will fail. Culture is the collective behaviors, attitudes, beliefs, and values that drive a team. First and foremost, what are you thinking about that handwriting? I mean, it's like I was like, I'm drawn in by his style of handwriting.
Yeah.
It's got a little personality to it. Also, though, I love the message, and he's right. You can have it, and we've talked about this, Chuck, or maybe we've talked about it off camera. I don't know if we talked about it on camera for a while, but I know that there's been a lot of really smart people that have tried to revolutionize soccer in this country, right? Especially at the youth level.
But there's
you can write like a 100-page plan of all this stuff, but if you don't have people that can execute it, or if you don't have people that buy in, then all the strategy and tactics don't matter if you don't have.
But that's the basic stuff, right? That's, for me, that's the non-negotiable stuff. When we're talking about the national team, it's a collection of your best players that your country has that play typically all over the world. That's basics. That's rudimentary. For me, it's like, okay, I have the best 26 guys that my country has to offer. You're damn Skippy. You better bring the culture part, which is what I think you and I both make sure our teams that we coach have, which is work rate, which is the positivity that if players make mistakes, you lift them up, and you enjoy being together. Like this is when we play with the national team, it felt like a family. I look forward to every call-up, not just because I got to represent my country, because I looked at you guys, the group, as family. And there was that feeling that I had when I was with everyone that, man, I'm so happy to be a part of this family. And I don't want this feeling to ever go away. That's part of it. So for me, of course, you have to have that part. When I look at South Korea in that 2002 World Cup, and I look at Morocco in the last World Cup, those are Croatia. When we look at yes, they have quality, of course, but ultimately they have that culture piece down where they might play against teams that are better than them on paper. They might play against teams that have a better philosophy and style. But in the end, when you need to go that extra mile, when you need to, it's life or death, the way that you're playing, you're obviously, it's going to take you over talent all day, every day if they don't bring that. But for me, when you hire Mauricio Pochettino, you're not asking for the culture part. That might be part of what he brings, but we want that, which we've always had for the most part. Every national team that I can think of, the U.S. national team when we're playing in a World Cup, we've always had that, but we want the strategy. We want tactics. That's what we've been looking for. That's when you get a world-class coach like a Pochettino who has coached the biggest names in world football. That's the part we're looking for. Because to be honest, Jimmy, we could find an American coach who gives you the fight. We've always come in every World Cup. Fight, togetherness. we gotta outwork the other team. That ever since I was young, playing in youth national teams, it's guys, we gotta outwork the other team because
that's my DNA, baby. Let's go.
We might not have the quality, so we gotta stick together and fight. Yeah, good. We've had that. That's nothing new. But give me that plus the strategy, and maybe this group in particular, maybe he's sending a message that guys got too comfortable. Maybe that instinct wasn't necessarily there, that they thought, hey, we're playing Champions League, we're making a lot of money. Maybe that same heart and desire wasn't there, and he was trying to bring it back. But we need that for sure, but we also need a strategy.
Well, I agree with you. There seems to be, though, a bit of a cultural reset. I wonder what he felt when he first walked in. Like, okay, I have these players. A lot of them playing at clubs around Europe. There should be a tactical acumen that they should have that maybe players in the past didn't. I'm putting air quotes around that. Didn't, because I feel like we had a lot of good, smart, talented players in the past as well that maybe didn't cut their teeth at the biggest clubs in Europe. But okay, then you come in and you start to evaluate the vibes, right? And clearly Pochettino's got a huge emphasis on the vibes. And I don't know if he was comfortable with where it was at. And so this could be maybe more of a message for him. I got to tackle this culture in the way that I want it, in the way that I want to shape it. And I'm going to put a message up on the board that continues to keep that as a theme. It's clearly a non-negotiable for him. So he's going to have to hammer it home until it's in the place where he needs it to be, and then he can move on to what's next.
Right.
However, to your point, we want more strategy from him, and it seems like he's now intertwining that in a way with, and listen, I'm proud of him. And you and I think we talked off camera and with Big Tones as well. I didn't think he would ever get off of a back four. That's just how he's played, man. 4-2-3-1. That's his gig. Now, I know that he said this is a bit of a hybrid against Ecuador, but still, we saw a lot of back three kind of build up in terms of how we were shaping. Yes, at times a fluid four, sometimes a back five, depending on the situation. But ultimately, I've seen some growth in him over at least this last year, that he's maybe open to trying new ideas that fits what's best for the team. And I feel like there might be a meeting in the middle there of, hey, okay, maybe I was being stubborn in how I want to play. Now I understand the player profiles that I have. I want to get a cultural reset here. And now it just seems like it's all kind of coalescing in a positive way together. Obviously, you got to get results and you have to perform. And you can start to see quotes from the players afterwards. I've seen some from Flo Balogun, from Weston McKennie, that are very much like, I really love what's happening here. And that's awesome. And that means the culture and the tactics are starting to meet in the middle, and everybody's feeling good about the way forward. And that is awesome. So I'm really excited about that. And I got to give a shout out to producer Des, because he made this meme for us here. Happy Gilmore meme about, and it's Mauricio Pochettino telling Happy Gilmore, I eat pieces of culture like
Adam Sandler, also from Manchester, New Hampshire.
I love that.
Let's go.
I eat pieces of culture like you for breakfast is absolutely amazing. We're gonna keep that going. That should be our thumbnail moving forward for every YouTube video. All right, we're gonna take our first break of Call What You Want. When we come back, we're gonna get into a preview against the Socceroos. Yes, Chuck, we're playing against a team that also calls it soccer. It's the Soccer Derby, and I can't wait to get into it. So keep it right here.
This is European soccer's biggest stage.
Written in the stars. What a difference she has made.
The question is, can you handle it?
Can you handle it?
The crowd here feels electric. Stream every match of the UEFA Women's Champions League on Paramount Plus.
All right, welcome back in to Call It What You Want. We call it soccer. Australia calls it soccer. I'm loving every minute of it. I'm glad we put this opponent.
Matt Christopher, always in the YouTube section and comments. He gives producer Des the green dot for the meme. So you got a green
dot for the meme.
Big one.
Let's get that out there. Let's get that out
there.
Well
done, Des.
To the social media. Well done.
Now Des is getting green dots. Here we go.
Okay, so let's do a little preview. Australia have already qualified for the World Cup. They finished second in their qualifying group to Japan, who we beat in the last window. They just come off of playing a friendly against Canada. They won that game 1-0. They probably shouldn't have. Canada were all over them in that particular game. But a win is a win is a win. They found a way to make it happen. They're currently on an 11-match unbeaten streak. They're coached by former World Cup player, Australian World Cup player Tony Popovich, who took over for Graham Arnold after Graham Arnold had a slow start to qualifying. And he plays a little bit of a dynamic/fluid 3-4-2-1. So we're going to maybe be matching up in a very similar formation in this one, Chuck. And in that game against Canada, I thought Tejan Buchanan had a couple good looks, found himself in good 1v1 situations in the first half. I'm excited to see if we can exploit similar areas against this Socceroos team. But I assume they're going to adjust a little bit based on what they saw when we played against Ecuador.
Yeah, I think what makes Australia too a difficult team to play against is because they also have an identity. They work their butts off. They get up and down. In the World Cup, they can make some noise. They can make it difficult. And they're pretty good in the counterattack. They get wide. They use width well. The back five, they used width pretty well, I will say. And they defend like hell. Everyone gets behind the ball. So this will be a great test, I think, for us. And I'm interested to see, does Pochettino stick to what we've typically seen with minimal changes? There might be, let's say maximum 3. I could see Christian Pulisic starting this game. I could also see him not starting this game and again coming in. So it'll be interesting. Is he still trying to test some guys, or does Balogun get a start again? Because I could see him continuing to ride the hot hand. I mean, Balogun has played extremely well over the last few games. So now that he's kind of your center forward moving forward, Ricardo Pepi still, trying to get back to full fitness. And I've always seen Ricardo Pepi as that 1B, as Balogun is 1A. Or does he go, I know what I'm getting from Balogun. He's my starting striker. Do I give Ajiman or Haji Wright the opportunity to play now?
Yeah, these are good questions. We're going to get into our projected lineup in a second. Just one more on the Socceroos. I said 11-match unbeaten streak. It's actually 12, and they've won 7 straight games. So, yeah, you got confidence. And I think, if anything, now Tony Popovich took over around the same time that Mauricio Pochettino did. And so when you start to cement your identity and how you want to play, and you now have some success that are backing up those thoughts and those methodologies and philosophies, it goes a long way. And yes, they survived against Canada and escaped with a 1-0 win. I'm curious, though, to your point, how are they going to set up? How deep are they going to set up? They don't really seem to care whether they have the ball or not. And that gives us a different look. I don't know who we're going to face in the World Cup yet, but we're definitely going to get someone in our group stage that is going to sit everybody back behind the ball. So yes, this is a great team for us to play against and try to solve different problems. That Ecuador, yes, they're not the same as Ecuador, right? They're going to be a little bit different. There might be some similarities in terms of how they try to hit on the counter, but ultimately, I think they're just going to try to sit in a little bit of a lower block. And what are we going to do about it, right? That's always the end game, Chuck. Your U10 team playing against. What are you going to do about it? How are you going to solve these problems? It doesn't change. You're always going to. How do we figure this out? And I think you're going to ask some questions of us. I
mean, for instance, right? We are going to be in the A pot, right? The pot 1 teams for World Cups, because we're a host nation. So when you're looking at some of the teams that are qualified, like Uzbekistan, you could get them. You could get Jordan. You could get New Zealand. Those are teams that are going to sit back and counter. That's what you're going to get, and they're going to try and maximize on long throws and free kicks. So again, this is a great opponent to play against.
And New Zealand, can't sleep on those guys. One of my favorite World Cup stories of all time is the 2010 World Cup, where I think they 0-0'd all 3 games. So you just don't know. And yeah, we could get it Uzbekistan. And that's the one where everybody's going to think, oh, we got to dunk on those guys. That should be 3 points. Those are trap games. And so this feels like, okay, let's start to work through a potential trap game. And how are we going to solve the problem? So let's get into our projected 11. Well, this is not me and Chuck's. This is Des and Ivis's projected 11 for us. So we got Matt Freese in goal, still sticking with the back 3. You got Cameron Carter-Vickers on the left, Richards in the middle, McKenzie on the right. I could see that being flip-flopped. Jedi Robinson getting the start. We're hopeful about that. Weston McKennie and Tessman sitting in the 6s. Tim Weah as the right wing back. And then you have Pulisic and Tillman as the 10s, the inverted wingers, and Haji Wright up top. I don't know how everybody's feeling about that at home. If you're hearing it, if you're watching right now live on the YouTubes, who do you think is going to start? We'll probably throw up some polls. I definitely want to see McKenzie get a run out. So I'm happy with that. I don't know.
But he does start in that left center back role, and Cameron Carter-Vickers is right-footed. He will probably play on the right, so that will be flip-flopped. And that's if that was the back three. Remember, Chris Richards doesn't like to play the center of a back three, but I think that's where he's going to play. Otherwise, Cameron, I think that's where Pochettino has him set. That Chris Richards is going to be your first center back on the team sheet. So he's going to be right in the heart of that back line, back three. So yeah, I'm cool with this.
Yeah, okay, so I agree with you. McKenzie on one side. You could, because I feel like we've seen it before, but correct me if I'm wrong, where you had Cameron Carter-Vickers in the middle and could put Chris Richards on the right. However,
right. But if you're not going to move him, if you're not going to move Richards, even though he would probably prefer there, and Cameron Carter-Vickers would probably prefer to be in the middle, if Pochettino has him in the middle, there's no reason to play him on in the left center back role or the right center back role if that's his spot. And then you're trying to figure out, okay, if Tim Ream is going to be my starter, or maybe I want to see if anyone else can push him. Mark McKenzie is the only player in my mind in that left center back role who plays it every week at Toulouse in Liga. That would be really the challenger for that position. And then the other side, you got Noah Kai Banks, who's now playing, and I think we're going to see him again in the future at a camp. You got Cameron Carter-Vickers. They've tried now Alex Freeman as a right center back. You got Joe Scally as a right center back. You have a number of players who are still in that testing mode in that right center back position.
Yeah, it's. I mean, they tried Alex Freeman there. Would they try him again from the start? Were you going to give Miles Robinson another look there at the start and put McKenzie on the other side? Very curious about the center back position. I do think this is another opportunity for McKenzie in particular in audition mode. If you bring in CCV in, I feel like if you really want to see him, you got to give him some minutes. So I don't know if you give him from the start, give him at halftime, whatever. But I assume we'll see him at some point. I do like the Weston McKennie, Tanner Tessman midfields.
Yep.
I want to see what Weston's game looks like from that position. And just allowing Tessman to sit, even though Tessman, I thought, did a nice job of joining the attack and getting involved in higher situations, right? He had the hockey assist to Balogun's goal against Ecuador. So recognizing when to go, when to step. And Weston could obviously sit in, but I'm curious if you like that as well. Or do you feel like Aiden Morris and Tessman should get another run out?
Yeah, this would be my pitch to Weston. If I'm Pochettino, and I don't even know if you need to give a pitch, and I actually certainly think that Pochettino, whatever he says goes, but to make him understand, someone who wants to be more adventurous in the attacking third. Weston is someone who is very tough to track from a defensive standpoint because he's constantly moving and he makes well-timed runs. But he's not a creative player in the sense that he's going to get on the ball, dribble somebody, and then make a killer pass, make a key pass that's going to break a line. What he can do well is, we've seen him get in a pocket, get a ball, and play a great diagonal, a long diagonal, or a switch, making late runs out of midfield to get at the top of the box for a cross. I think the piece that really I struggle with leaving him off the pitch for is the set pieces, attacking set pieces. He's so good in the air, aerial challenges, both defensively and the attacking phase. But you need guys who can break down teams in those set piece areas, because that's an advantage. It's a third of the game can be decided on set pieces.
Right.
You need to have someone who's dominant in that respect, and I think he's that guy. When you're looking at the starting lineup, you're looking at the 11, he's better in the air than anybody else on attacking set pieces, not even close for my money. So I'd like to see him in that position. And you say, okay, defensively, we know you can get back. We know you can track. You need to be patient. And that's it. And then you can get forward, and Tessman can sit. And Tessman, I think he's done a fantastic job of reading the game well, which is why he's able to play at Lyon. That's why he's been able to excel with the national team, because he doesn't have the pace. He can't cover all the ground that Tyler Adams can or Weston can. But where he's really improved is his understanding of the game, picking up second balls, being available, just sniffing out certain problem areas and danger areas to put those fires out before they start. So that's where I got to give a lot of credit to Tanner Tessman.
Yeah, and I'm curious if Weston makes more sense, because we know we're going to be playing against a team that doesn't care if they have the ball. So having those late runs, having him join the attack late. If we had Aiden Morris and Tanner Tessman in at the same time, for me, they're duplicating the position a little bit, right? They're staying where we could maybe get another player in advance of the ball, or at least asking questions. I do want to say, though, I think that Weston McKennie is one of our most clutch players. He scored a lot of clutch goals over the years, and having that knack and a feel for that, I think, is really important. So something to keep in mind, and I'm curious to see how it lines up. So let's get into the number 9 spot, because I know there's some discourse to be had there. Would you give Haji Wright, resident number 9 Charlie Davies, the start here, and to say, hey, listen, this is kind of like Josh Sargent in the last one. This is your big chance to show us that you've got these little qualities and details that we're looking for that might put you higher up the pecking order. Ultimately, though, Balogun is the clear number 9. Or do you give Balogun, 60 minutes to continue to run around and demonstrate his quality, when we all know that when he's fit and sharp, he is the guy?
Yeah. And Urias Tosh, I got to give it to you. I meant to say prevent fires before they start, not put them out before they start. So yeah, thank you. Thank you for correcting me. But what I will say is, no, I'm starting Balogun. Haji Wright, Ajiman, those are players that come off the bench. They're not starting over Balogun, and they're not starting over Ricardo Pepi. You need to see which striker gives you that advantage when they come off the bench. How do they complement maybe a Balogun if you have to play with 2? Balogun needs to understand that you're going to play teams like Ecuador, who you may concede possession. In this game, they gave us possession. They said, you're not going to break us down. And they were missing Moises Caicedo. But ultimately, you need to understand there are some teams that are going to drop back and really sit back and defend and play on the counter, and some are going to be a little bit more adventurous and pin you back and keep possession. You want Balogun to be able to deal with both scenarios and both tactics. So I'm keeping him on the pitch. I want more continuity. The more the relationships build with Tillman, with Christian, with
yes.
Tessman, with
Okay, you got
McKennie.
me. Yeah.
Like I want that group to play as much as they possibly can before next summer.
Yeah, great shout. You got me.
So I'm starting Balogun. I want to start. Remember, we don't have that too many windows. This isn't the first year of a 4-year window.
I get it.
So
I know.
Play your guys and then think about,
yeah,
okay, we saw enough for this game. I'll give them 30 minutes off.
Initially I was leaning towards Haji starting, because he's red hot in the championship. He leads everyone in goals. Coventry's been very good. Getting on the end of stuff, scoring different types of goals too. I'm like, oh, you know what? Maybe we give him the start here. We know what Balogun's about. He's super sharp. But you've convinced me. The more minutes we can get with a Tillman, Pulisic, Balogun triangle, and understanding if Jedi can start, I would love Jedi to start. Can we have that so we can get that dynamic happening? Like, okay, now that we've decided to push Christian a little bit more central, it's going to open up and free more space for Jedi to get up and down. Well, okay, they need reps figuring that out. And against an opponent that's going to sit back a little bit, yeah, let's see how that cooks. Let's put on our chef hat and see what kind of ingredients we can mix together here.
And I also want to add, similar to a World Cup, right? You're seeing matches 3 days from one another. So that excuse of we need to rest or heavy legs. No, you gotta see how guys play in that second game. You might have
great shout.
A really difficult game in the group stage. Maybe it's a team like Ecuador, or you're playing a team that's like a Uzbekistan or an Iran in that first game, and you're playing the harder team in the second game. So either way, you got to push those guys and see, okay, you got to bring the energy levels back up. And I need to see you guys continue to push forward and create a little bit more. But the intensity, like Pochettino talks about, the culture remains the same. We have to be hungry. We have to play in that with that kind of mentality moving forward.
Yeah, well said. All right, the U.S. men's national team will face Australia tomorrow, Tuesday, October 14th at Dick's Sporting Goods Park in Commerce City, Colorado, just outside of Denver. Kickoff is slated for 9 p.m. Eastern. That is a late one for all you East Coasters.
Lord.
Great for me. It's no problem over here.
Yeah.
We've only met Australia 3 prior times, and the last time was a tune-up for the 2010 World Cup, and the U.S. won 3-1. It was a friendly played in South Africa. So it's been a little while. A couple generations have come through, but this should be a very good game for us and a good game for them as well. All right, we're going to take our last break and call it what you want. When we come back, we're going to get into our predictions. So start letting us know what you think is going to happen in the comments right now. And we'll see you in I think maybe 10 seconds. I don't know.
When you need your sports news all the time,
we've got breaking news to bring to you.
CBS Sports HQ gives you a snapshot of all the sports that matter to you. When you need your sports in a snap, find it on CBS Sports HQ, streaming free anywhere you are.
All right, welcome back in for the final short segment here.
Final countdown.
Final countdown.
Yeah.
For all you Arrested Development fans out there. All right, so here's a little call to action. We are going to do a watch-along, as we always do now, for the U.S. men's national team against Australia. It's going to happen, then we'll have a recap afterwards. So join us for any part of that if you'd like. We're going to kick off here at 8:45 p.m. Eastern, going live. So 15 minutes before kickoff, we'll break down starting 11s, and then obviously you get to watch the game with us, and it's always a lot of fun. So hit like and subscribe, turn on notifications, Glosso America YouTube channel. We appreciate it. All right, street predictions. I want some from the community that's watching right now. And Chuck, I want yours. What do you think is going to go down in this game, and who's scoring some goals? I actually want to get some specifics here. Big Tones isn't here. He's hit mute on his computer, something he can't figure out. We don't know where Big Tones is. That's a part of his charm.
Yeah.
But what are your predictions? Who's scoring? How are we going to play?
Okay. I think we're going to win this game, and I think we're going to win 2-0. That's my prediction.
That's a good shout.
I feel we are finally. I think the group is finally understanding the demands, the expectations, like the culture piece.
Yeah.
They also understand that, damn, the World Cup's not that far away, and this guy isn't playing. Pochettino's not playing games, so I think we're not going to underestimate Australia. I think Australia, we know they're going to bring it. But I'm very confident when you look at this Australian back line, and from Deganek, who played for the Columbus Crew, right, a 31-year-old center back. You have Rawls, who plays Kai Rawls, who plays at DC United, the 27-year-old left wing back for them. He can play kind of center back, but they don't have that much pace. They're fighters. Two guys in their starting 11 against Canada. Paul Izzo, the keeper at 30, and
Izzo was the man of the match against Canada, by the way. He was excellent.
And Mohamed Toure, they both play for my former club in Denmark, Randers. So, I'm familiar with this team. I've watched them play, and Irakunda's got the pace. I think this is a team that's going to be tough. They're going to be a very resilient side, but I'm confident that we will have possession, we'll break them down, and we'll win 2-0.
Yeah, and I want to give a shout out to one of their center backs, Alessandro Succati. He plays at Parma.
Yeah.
Very good player. A fun fact, maybe this would change your prediction a little bit, but in this 7-game winning streak for Australia, they've only given up 3 goals. So I'm going to go 1-0. US, baby.
What do we say about Ecuador too,
That's true.
Yeah,
they'd only given up 5 goals in 18 games. Yeah, that's true. So we're going to have to figure out a way to break through. I'm going to say it's a set piece. I don't know if Chris Richards will get on the head of it. I'm pulling for, you know what? I'll put some good vibes out there for Mark McKenzie. So I think Mark McKenzie gets a header on a set piece and we win 1-0. That's center back union over here. You might think it's going to be, I don't know, Balogun again or Haji Wright. Who's your goal scorer?
I think Balogun scores again.
All right.
And I'm gonna go with Tillman from long range. He's got he's got that type of energy in him for this game. By the way, straight catnip. I see your comments every show, respect you following, but his comment is, I predict it'll be a friendly that results will mean nothing.
Wow.
I'll tell you now, every friendly is a real competition for this group because we don't have anything else until the World Cup. And for these guys, they're playing for a World Cup roster spot, and some are playing for a starting spot. They're playing for confidence. They're playing, for a guy a Christian Roldan, for instance. You're playing to get in the roster. You're trying to prove that you bring the right mentality, the positivity, the right game ethics to being a squad player. There's a lot that's riding on every friendly, even though it's a friendly. But for these guys, you're giving everything because you don't have many opportunities to impress Pochettino, because club form in some ways, maybe that doesn't matter too much for him. And we've seen Josh Sargent killing it in the championship, comes in the national team, doesn't perform well, and now he falls off a cliff in his club form. It goes hand in hand. And some guys maybe are playing at their club teams, but not maybe well. And they do well with the national team. They go back to the club team and they excel. And they're on a rocket booster until the World Cup camp. So these games matter. That's what we're trying to say. I know the results in the end, you don't win a trophy, but I'll tell you right now, they're playing like they win a trophy. They have to. That's what Pochettino wants from them. And if they don't, no World Cup for them. And this is once in a lifetime for these guys.
Yeah. To piggyback on that, and you're on fire today, Chuck. You're going to have 90 minutes of situations, and you need to see who can solve those situations. That's attacking. Okay, all of a sudden, Australia's dropped into a back line of 5. They've got 2 6s. We got the ball in this spot. Okay, maybe it's 30 yards off the top of the box. We're out wide. Tim Weah's got it. How are we solving that problem? You need to figure out guys that know the movement, the timing of the movement. Do we have a collective understanding of what to do in that moment? Do we have an individual understanding of what to do? So, yeah, there's no wasted games here at all. And so you're looking for problem solvers. And then conversely, on the defensive side of the ball, okay, here, the ball is in this area of the field. How are we communicating? How are we shifting? How are we moving? Does everybody know how we're supposed to? I mean, this is so valuable because now you have video proof and video evidence of like, hey, we actually need it to look like this. Or, hey, we need actually, or it's a positive reinforcement. Hey, guys, you absolutely crushed this. This is exactly right. And when we see it, it's not an if. When we see it in the future, it needs to look like this. And now everybody has a picture of what it should look like and how to move. And that just makes us stronger and stronger and stronger at these little details. At the highest levels, these details make such a big difference. As we saw with the U20s, the fine margins decide games. You might be the better team, but it doesn't mean you're going to win the game. And we need to figure out how to win those games that maybe we're not the better team.
100%. And on top of that, I want people to understand, you have Tyler Adams, who's not here, who will be here with the group. You have Ricardo Pepi. You have a Cardoso who is still not anywhere near settled within this team. And he's trying to break through at Atletico Madrid, which could happen. It could or could not happen, but he's in that position. So therefore, he's going to be in the conversation. You have a Yunus Musa also in a difficult situation at Atalanta, but if he breaks through, there could be a game changer. And then we know Gio Reyna. He moved. He got his situation that he wants where he got to play. Now he's got to work on his health. And then he's got to get the playing time. And then he's got to excel. But again, there's a number of players who are on the fringes who could be massive additions, massive boosts to this squad, but it's all waiting in balance. And again, if this group, the nucleus of this group just continues to gel and continues to play exactly how Mauricio Pochettino wants, then I think that's only going to give us that positivity, the belief, the hope that we all want heading into this World Cup. I think that's what we're all waiting for is, all right, they're building on something now, but can they get to that point come May? We've had a couple of friendlies. I think that March window is going to be massive if we do get a Portugal and a Belgium. And I've heard through the grapevine that
would be sick.
We're getting closer to that. And if that announcement happens and we have 2 fantastic performances in that window, I think the hope is it's all the way here, right? And that's what I hope we get to. I'm expecting that this group just keeps pushing forward and Pochettino continues to call in the right guys. And again, like you said, Jimmy, you pointed out, he's changed the system already. And that's hard to do if you're a coach like a Ruben Amorim who said, I got my success playing a certain formation. I'm going to make it work no matter what. Well, eventually you got to change and do what's best for the guys that you have. And exactly, I think right. Pochettino has done that.
All right. So the number one reason I'm going to leave everybody with this. Number one reason why we're going to beat Australia is because our culture eats Australia's culture for breakfast. That's why we're going to get the results. It's going to be written all over the board by Mauricio Pochettino. That's it. We're calling it a show. Join us again for our watch along tomorrow night. We're going to kick off at 8:45 p.m. Eastern, get into starting 11s, as I mentioned before, and then we'll get into the game, and then we'll have our post-game show. It's going to be a lot of fun. Come back and join us here on the Gloss America YouTube channel. Charlie, great to see you as always.
Always.
Des, Ivan, Tony, we miss you. We'll see you tomorrow. Everyone, have a good day.
See you tomorrow night.
Let's get after it.
Don't miss that watch along.
Go.